In our unfortunately broken society of mega corporations and mega medical systems, it's become harder and harder to know who we can really trust when it comes to our health. And this has been a problem that was magnified during the lockdowns when so many people were scared and didn't know where to turn to or what to do or who to ask for help and support in being healthy and being well. So if you're one of those people who struggles sometimes with the overwhelm of all the misinformation around what it takes to be healthy, what medicines we should take, what medicines we shouldn't take, should we vaccinate, should we not, what are all these other things? And you've visited your previously trusted doctors hoping for answers, but all you end up getting is just another pill to swallow, and you've realized that that's part of this mega system that doesn't focus on healing people, it just focuses on keeping them sick or treating their symptoms. And you know that true healing is more than just a surface fix. You are someone who wants vibrant health for yourself and your family. But every time you search for those answers online, you're bombarded with all this conflicting advice. One article says, eat more of this. Another says, avoid it at all costs. You find yourself spiraling down a rabbit hole of medical misinformation and polarizing opinions, feeling more confused and anxious with every click. Your heart races as you read about potential dis-ease and a sense of dread washes over you. By the end of it, you start to wonder if you might have every illness under the sun. So what can you do? How do you navigate this overwhelming sea of information and find a path to true holistic health? Listen on, because today's episode is definitely for you. I'm your host, Nathan Maingard, and welcome back to We Are Already Free, the podcast where conscious misfits from the mainstream stop worrying how bad it all is out there and instead get inspired and informed so they can focus on being the change and finding their tribe and living a beautiful life together. When you hear the words, "we are already free," what comes up for you?
Acceptance.
Change.
The shift in awareness.
Human beings are so powerful.
There's so much more.
Everything is love behind it.
Breaking the chains of your own mind.
That which remains.
Nature.
Getting out of the matrix.
We're sitting on the treasure and it's already unlocked.
We are already free.
You're free.
You are a walking map.
Have always been free.
You are always free, already free.
We are already free.
In today's episode, we are joined by Dr. Bradley Campbell, a holistic physician who believes that the key to vibrant health lies in self-love. And I know that sounds a bit woo, but really listen to this episode. It's amazing. This dude has multiple degrees. He's on it. He knows what he's talking about. And his own story of his miraculous healing will blow you away. Dr. Campbell combines his extensive expertise in chiropractic care, functional medicine, and more to help us understand why self-love is such powerful medicine. He'll guide us through cutting through the noise and misinformation to reclaim our health and well-being. Stay tuned as we explore how a miraculous moment of holistic medicine saved Dr. Campbell from brain damage as a child. You'll hear the two surprising root causes of all health problems, why self-love is the ultimate healing tool, how to escape a life you don't love, and near the end, the meaning of life and balancing love and time, plus heaps more. So just a little episode. This episode is definitely an eye, heart, and mind opener filled with practical insights and profound wisdom. Before we go any deeper today, I just want to introduce you to Already Free Academy. At AFA, we believe that self-love is definitely the best medicine. Just like Dr. Bradley Campbell will share in this episode, embracing self-love is a key to vibrant health and well-being. Imagine having the tools and the support to nurture your mind, body, and spirit, helping you cut through the noise and find true wellness, a place where you as a conscious misfit are not the one outside, but where you really belong, where your fellow people gather and empower themselves and remember that we are already free. This is what AFA offers, a holistic approach to self-love and to wellness that is for you. But act fast, because the early bird offer is closing soon. So visit alreadyfree.me/earlybird or check the show notes to sign up now and claim your exclusive offer before it is gone for good. The doors are closing soon. I also have some really important news. This podcast is taking a little bit of a break. I am going on honeymoon. I'll tell you more about that at the end, because right now you might be just discovering this podcast and not want to hear more about me and my honeymoons. But if you're a long-time listener, do listen at the end and I'll share a little more about that. And thank you so much for being here. Now let's enjoy an enlightening and inspiring conversation with Dr. Campbell, and I'll see you on the other side. your studies were already kind of holistically oriented, if I understand correctly. And I'm wondering, was there a point in your life where you were like, yay, medicine, like yay, mainstream medicine at least? And what was that like? And then how did that shift happen for you?
Most of my life, even still, is a little bit of like, yay, mainstream medicine. Like, I still love it. My mom is a nurse. My dad's a dentist. My dad just retired, but I grew up very like prescription, over-the-counter medicine minded. Though my mom, through her own health struggles, kind of went a little bit more of the natural, holistic route because medications couldn't fix some of her autoimmune issues she was having, and chronic fatigue and viral infections, and she had a bunch of stuff. But I was saved as a child by a chiropractor, is how I like to say it. And really my body saved itself, but he did some things which changed the course of my life, where I had a concussion. I was running around in school in 4th grade. I was 9 years old, and I was doing flips off of the desks in between classes, and I slipped and hit the corner of my head on a sharp desk and blacked out, ended up in the hospital. And I lost my personality, my emotional affect, half of my IQ. So I went from a grade ahead to a grade behind in school. And for 9 months, no one could figure out what was wrong or what to do. They're just like, your kid had a terrible concussion. He's different now. We're sorry. And, I went to 20, 30 different specialists, had CAT scans, MRIs, EEGs, sleep studies, multiple psych tests and evaluations. And they're like, your kid's just not the same. We're sorry. Maybe he'll get better. Maybe this is him now. And I happened to be family friends with some people who had a great chiropractor who they referred us to. And he was the first person in 9 months that actually just touched my body. Like, no one had done a physical exam, and I had a dent in my head the size of a golf ball. And modern medicine doesn't believe in the Western world that craniosacral or cranial adjusting is a real thing after about 1 or 2 years old, where the skull is obviously misshapen, but the skull doesn't fully fuse until your early 20s. So at 9 years old, I had a dent in my skull, and you could feel it. It was like the size of a golf ball. And he luckily was a chiropractor who did special training in cranial manipulation. So he didn't crack my neck or my back. He just pulled the skull bones basically apart, took the dent off of my brain, which you can actually see on the CT scan, by the way, but they just kind of ignore that. So he basically took the pressure off of my brain. And within an hour, I laughed for the first time in 9 months. My personality came back. My IQ jumped up higher than before. It was wild.
Whoa. I got goosebumps, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. So for me, that was life-changing. But I still, even after that, like, I wanted to go into regular medicine. I was like, I don't know, chiropractors are kind of like quacks. Some of them are just like over-adjusting people. Like, I don't know if everybody really needs that. Yes, it's good for them maybe, but like they're selling it to them like with fear porn and just like all this like weird sales tactics. I'm like, I don't know if they need it. If you had the money, I think it's great for you. But, it's one of those things, even as a chiropractor now myself, who's been to chiropractic and naturopathic school, and I get my acupuncture degree. And it's one of those things where like the communication with chiropractors is sometimes a little sketchy. And I've realized even in modern medicine, the communication is just as sketchy, if not more sketchy. And the education is just like, doctors are literally indoctrinated into their own systems. But the doctors who I was lucky enough to learn from in undergraduate in college, they were eye surgeons, brain surgeons, trauma, ER doctors, and they convinced me not to go to medical school because they said their lives were basically terrible. They were working 12 years of extra school after college. It was very stressful, not a lot of pay. They had tons of loans and debt. Their family life took a major burden. They weren't raising their kids. They were usually on psych medications or other like painkillers. They just didn't have good family lives. Like, I talked to 6 doctors at this like different, it was supposed to be encouraging people to go into medical school, all the pre-med students. And I talked to them, I'm like, these are not people I would want to be like. These are not role models for me in health or wellness in any kind of way. And the chiropractor who saved my life was like, hey, you could still do this. This is great. I have a great work-life balance. My family life's awesome. I can make my own hours, charge what I want. And so I originally wanted to help injured musicians. I see you got like some music in the background there. And I was a saxophonist. And so I went into holistic medicine to really help injured musicians. Eventually realized that injured musicians have the exact same problems as everybody else. And it all kind of went from there. I got into the chiropractic and naturopathic school around Chicago, Illinois. and just went down the rabbit hole, studied 10 different degrees in natural healthcare, did hundreds of seminars and retreats, and every single weekend, every single hour for about a decade, I was just learning different forms of healing and natural medicine. And then the pandemic happened and took off online.
Oh, it's amazing. What is the big problem that the same problem that's underlying everything for everyone?
What is the big problem? Well, do you want to go like superficial or like deep, real?
Real is always the way. Real is the way forward for sure.
I think there's really like two answers. One is more emotional and one is more like tangible. The tangible one, I think, is the lack of diversity and health of the soil. So like the low soil quality and the farming practices are what's keeping everyone back, is the food and the quality of food and over processing of food. And we've gotten so lost from people even knowing like what an almond, they don't even know, do almonds grow on trees? Do they grow on vines? Do they come out of the ground? Like, do you open up a grape and there's an almond? Like, they have no idea what an almond is. They know it, some know it takes a lot of water, but like we're just so disconnected, myself included, from eating, from farming. 70% of America used to be farmers or involved in farming, and now it's less than, I think, like 2 or 3%. So we're just very disconnected from farming. And so many people in urban and suburban populations have no idea what an animal's like. There's a lot of people who think that killing plants and animals is evil or bad. And there's just like really weird philosophy around farming and food. So that's one big thing that's wrong. I think the other real reason of why people aren't well or fully themselves is the deeper level is a lack of self-love. Like when I tell my patients, they're like, well, what caused that? What caused that? What caused that? We just keep going deeper into like the why, the root causes. Everything truly comes back to a lack of self-love, either not knowing yourself, like your true authentic self, or not loving your true authentic self. So it's either like helping them identify the awareness of who am I? And at our core, I think we all are love. And then just teaching them the practice of health being a one way we can give self-love to ourselves. Because if you really find who you truly are and think about eating and the way you live as an act of self-love, then most health conditions just dissipate.
Wow, man, that is so beautiful. I mean, you're speaking to what do they say? Preaching to the choir, because a huge part of the work I do, I work with people as a transformational guide. And I say like, part of the work we do is purpose work, which is part of what I consider like the envision phase. It's like, if we don't have a vision for like, what is the fruit we want to bear in this life, then how do we know what we should, like, why is it worth doing a healthy habit if I don't have a connection to a purpose? But the secret is that it's not about purpose, because purpose is actually just a blossoming of who you really are. And that through that authenticity, that discovery, like, who am I really? There comes this natural sense of like the energy starts to move. And what I got from what you were saying is like, if we are nature and nature is us, then when we love ourselves and we connect with our authentic selves, then by default, we start to love nature more and take care of nature, and the soil gets better and we get better and everything gets better. So it's actually, those two core problems are actually kind of the same. They have the same root at the end, which, as you've expressed, is love.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. It gave me goosebumps with you talking too, because it's so true. We're killing nature and we're killing parts of ourselves at the same time. Like the pesticides we spray on the plants are also getting internalized into our own gut flora, which is killing our own internal flora, our own plants.
Yeah, man.
We can't separate ourselves from nature. There's some teachings in Chinese medicine where they talk about the earth element being the gut, and it's also goes with the stomach and the spleen organs. But the earth element is the exact same. I'm trying to think about how to phrase it, but the earth element with our digestion, we have the same percentage of fungal and bacteria quantity as the earth that we walk on. So like our internal earth is the same as the earth, and the earth is mostly fungal. Our gut bacteria is also mostly fungal. And it's just like another representation. Our bodies are the earth, right? It's like this percentage of water on earth is the same as the water inside of our bodies. So like we are nature, and when we respect and love ourselves, we also respect and love nature. sometimes I feel like it's easier for people to, spend a bunch of money on their pet, their dog or their cat that's sick, and they won't spend it on themselves. It's either for them to not eat cows, but that they're like drinking alcohol all the time. Like to try to do the right thing to reduce suffering externally, but they're not working out their internal suffering as well. And so sometimes I feel like if we say like, hey, go fix the soil, or like get some regenerative agriculture, learn what that is, or get biodynamic or regenerative or organic food, or locally sourced, talk to your farmers, maybe ask them, are they able to go organic? Could they make more money? What would that process be like for them? Just asking questions and trying to spend your money wisely helps reduce the external suffering, which will inevitably reduce internal suffering. But you can kind of choose which way you want to go. You can go internal or external. Either way, you and the planet will heal.
I love that. I feel like you've just offered a beautiful insight there, because I often think of, well, I guess it's not either or, it's both and, because I often think of the internal focus, because when the internal shifts, then we by default will shift the external, though at the same time, both are important. Like for example, if I want to be someone who feels better in my life, if I prioritize getting good quality spring water or going to a regenerative farmer externally, that's an external action, but then that has an internal result as well. And it's, again, there's like no escaping the internal and the external bouncing off each other. It's so beautiful.
Totally. Yeah, totally agree.
Nice, man. So a lot of people that I'm talking to and that I see and come across are kind of currently awakening in a way. I don't know if it's a cheesy word. I'm trying to think of a better way to say that. Like we're awakening. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like a lot of people are realizing that the general education, the medication, the workforce, like that it isn't really serving life, human life, or the life that we share this earth with. And yet a lot of these people are still kind of stuck in maybe a job that isn't aligned with their true self, or like you said, a work that's too stressful, that's causing them more harm than good, etc. And do you ever work with people like that, or do you get people like that come through your practice? And if so, what are some of the ways that you help people in those situations to start making the changes or moving into a more holistic way of being?
Yeah, I get a lot of people who are waking up and a lot of people who are moving towards that path. And I don't have as much time to educate, perhaps, as a coach would have. So I created an online membership that has thousands of hours of content for people to learn and grow and use to help themselves. And every once in a while, there's like this holistic health bundle that comes up where there's like, 100 different courses and books for like $50 or something. And so sometimes I'll have people get that. Rarely do they ever go through all of it, but I've had nobody who's gone through all of it. But like, I think it's interesting because they can like look through the whole library and be like, this is interesting. Because the libraries in our public libraries in most towns don't focus on health and healing primarily. So it's cool for them to have like a library of content in a membership or with a bundle that's like all of this information. Or I'll send them to different coaches to help them. But a lot of people are realizing that they are basically in some sort of prison or slavery system, is how I like to put it, where there is a lack of freedom. There's both a lot of freedom and a lack of freedom. And it's always in balance, I think, on a higher level between how much freedom we have and how much control there is, both governmentally and other rules and regulations. And some of those rules and regulations are meant to keep us safe. Some of them are meant to provide things for us. But at the same time, we're doing it in a way that is evolving. The school system, the labor system, technology right now with AI, everything is evolving to the point where we're going to get more freedom. The school system literally in America at least looks like prisons. Kids, especially who are neurodivergent, which is almost half of children now, feel imprisoned. They are looking for something better. More homeschooling has 10x'd in America in the last decade. There's more and more people looking for private school or different schooling systems because the school system was originally designed to create good workers, like 9-to-5 workers for like 40 to 60 hours a week. So the school system was basically designed to, in America, create kids who will obey, go to school from like a 9-to-5 or a 7-to-3, and then they'll go to college. Nowadays, they get in so much debt that they become debt slaves. So they're financially like slave to having to work for about 30 to 40 years of their life, if not longer, depending on how they spend their money. And so you're basically like forced to go to school, which forces you pretty much like they pressure you super hard to go to college, which then pressures you into working for the rest of your life until now, not 65, but like 75 or 80 for most people. And then you die. So I think people are aware of this and they're saying, hey, I see people now who are a coach who work from home, or like COVID changed a lot where people could work from home. They had more freedom, let's say, even though it was a crazy time. There was more freedom. There was more awareness gained of people being like, hey, I don't want to just work in a cubicle for the rest of my life. I want to get out in nature where the healing is, or I want to be able to travel, or I want to be able to do some creative job. And so more and more people are starting to go that way, which is shifting. As the demand changes, the supply will change, which is slowly happening in the US. But it's hard for parents in the US who financially still have to both work jobs to make ends meet, is where I think most people, where like the rubber meets the road, which is a phrase which basically means like that's where they get stuck. They're like stuck in a financial burden at the moment.
Mm. And so I hear what you're saying. So at your level, so you work you've got your private practice, right? And then obviously you've gained like a lot of attention on the internet. And so you have a lot of people saying, hey, I've got this thing, I need help with that. Like there's this going on. And so you've created a membership. Could you tell us a bit more about the membership? You said there's like people in there and you have resources, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I have different videos that are about an hour or less on some really primary topics, and I'm slowly building up about one a month. I also have long 6-hour courses on healing, finding the root cause. There's a big test that like finds the root cause of almost any health issue, and then a course that's attached to it that helps you basically get healthier and fix the root cause. And then making little videos now on like different protocols for some of those root cause problems and system issues for like detoxification, or your liver, or your kidneys, or your skin, or your gut. And so there's basically a bunch of self-help information inside the membership. But I realized the 6-hour courses I had on the gut, or 6-hour courses on the thyroid, was a little too much for most people. So I'm making smaller, like 1-hour podcast type size chunk bits for people of, here's what's really going on, here's what the action steps are, here's why there's a problem, how to fix it, what to do, etc. for people. Okay. So there's actually a searchable, you can like search the captions of the videos. There's a searchable content library with thousands of videos in there now of different little topics or questions people ask, and they can search through and find different healing information.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Cool. Well, I'll be sure to link to that in the show notes. That sounds like an amazing resource. Yeah, I think we're almost at opposite ends in some ways, because you're dealing with, like, you at scale. Like you said, I don't really coach one-to-one in that way, or don't have that. You can't scale in that way. Whereas I'm really like, I help people one-to-one at this point primarily, and support them in mainly, like I mentioned, it's really about that, what you call I love the self-love, which is purpose, which is who you really are, and coming to realize that there's so much energy stuck in denying the authentic self. And once that energy gets released, like I've had people come to me before, like, oh, I want to be in a relationship. And I'm like, well, I can't like guarantee, there's no way that I'm going to say, yeah, sure, within 3 months we'll have a relationship. But then we do the work and they unpack and discover the parts that they've pushed away and align with authenticity and realign how they're behaving. Lo and behold, and I'm thinking of 2 particular people right now, but like those people are in a relationship within 2 or 3 months. And it's like, that's how amazing it can actually be. And I'm relating it to what you were saying earlier around so much of the root cause, or the root cause even, can be solved through coming into authenticity, that's actually where a lot of the heart of this lies.
Yeah, 100%. I still love working with people one-on-one because it keeps you grounded, it keeps you real. And that's where it all ends up working. And I was just with a bunch of doctors this last weekend, and about half of us like to listen to our patients and half don't. And I find that trend in medicine where if doctors were able to have like an hour or two, probably 80% would not listen to people for an hour or two. They'd want to like listen for 5 minutes and then sort of like fix things the rest of the time. But I'm the opposite. I tend to really like spending time with people, listening to them for as long as they're willing to talk, and then fix things afterwards. Because I think getting to know the person is super critical. Mm-hmm. And that's what's lost. That's why, like, what I'm basically rebranding as authentic medicine, is because you have to find the person's authentic self in order to really heal. That's what it's all about. And you can't really do that without getting to know them super well.
That's beautiful, man. I actually want to find a quote quickly from Gabor Mate, which you may have heard it before or something, but I don't know where it's from, but I've seen it. I quoted it off somewhere online, and I've got it here. So what Gabor Mate says: as a child, we have two fundamental needs. One need is attachment. The other need is authenticity. Authenticity is the connection to ourselves, because without authenticity, without a connection to your gut feelings, just how long do you survive out there in nature? So authenticity is not some new age pseudo-spiritual concept. It's actually a survival necessity. So yeah, wow. I feel that one.
I mean, he's a genius, really. But I feel that in my gut for sure. Yeah, and I think a lot of people are in survival mode because they have lost their authenticity. A lot of people have lost what it feels like to be themselves or just human. Like we've sort of been told, like as a child, no one comes out being like, I need to make money and work my job and pay for my kids. Like that's something that kind of society and our evolution and puberty helps, is like raising a family and doing all those things. But if our core is pure love, then what we probably want at our core, most people, is to spend more time with the people we love and love more and be loved more. And you can do that through your job. I think it helps to have that shift of like, instead of saying like, I need to go to my job, I have to go to my job, I should do this, I should do that before I go to bed, make sure I do this, or I need to do that. So many people view it in that sort of lack mentality instead of, and it's sort of victim mindset of like, I have to do this or else I'm going to be poor. I have to do this or like someone's going to hurt me, or the government, if I don't pay my taxes, like I'm going to get, kicked. And that's can be true. Like we are victims, things do happen to us. But at the same time, if you switch into that mindset, I find most winners have this mindset. Most people who are successful have the mindset of everything I do, I'm choosing to do. Like I want to go to work. I want to find joy in my work. Even if you don't love your job right now, you can find little ways to have fun with it, find humor in it, laugh about how much you hate it, whatever it is. Like finding joy, laughter, and love in what you're currently doing is amazing. That's a huge alchemical shift you can do for yourself instantaneously. Whatever you don't like, you can shift your mindset about it. And then really finding ways to live your life, whether it's your career, your job, your relationships, in a place of more love will fix almost every problem you could ever have.
So I mean, this is amazing because in my mind, I kind of was like, this is going to be quite a like medicine conversation, but the medicine that all the medicine has been is love. And I love that. So I would kind of like to invite, maybe if there's more, maybe we've already reached the foundation, but what is the meaning of life? Like you've already said around true healing seems to be like based in love, but then what is life? Like what is the purpose of this whole thing that we're doing here?
I sort of have two answers for the question. One is that there are three, I kind of like speaking in like the hard and the squishy, or like the clouds and the dirt. Yeah. And I'd say like the dirt is that there are three main purposes to life. It's internal work, external work, and then just loving the process. So the internal work is like working on yourself, evolving over time with your mind, body, spirit, your relationships, your mental health, your career, your physical health, your spiritual health. It's like all the internal work. The second one is external work. So it's helping your community. You're creating a family or friendships, or because like no one, it's really easy to be like peaceful and a monk in a cave by yourself is like super happy. It's a lot harder to be that way in community, in relationship to others who reflect back to you who you are anyways. So like you can't really figure out who you are without doing external work and having external relationships. So it's growing and learning through external work, and whether it's your job or community work or work at your church or synagogue or whatever it might be. That's the second one. The third one of the dirt is going to be just like loving life, having a good time. Those are like the surfer beach bums who can just like have no job and just love their life. And a lot of people who are type A hard workers just wish they could just accept themselves, love things as they are, like Eckhart Tolle, and just be with the now and just enjoy nature, enjoy life, enjoy their job, and just kind of like step back and just be at peace with what is. I think that's the dirt. The clouds part came to me from this amazing patient appointment I had with a ADHD therapist who had a genetic condition where he was going to be passing away within about a year or two. And so he knew his death was imminent. He had some young kids and an amazing wife. And for him, he said the meaning of life became very evident, and it was the balance of love and time. And he said, love without time is a tragedy, and time without love is a prison.
Whoa.
Yeah. So for me, that's what the big picture is all about. It's balancing love and time. And so some say God is love. Some say like love comes in many different forms, right? But I think the more we can focus on using our time to do love, be love, have love, share love, give love, receive love better, then that's what it, to me, is like the biggest picture of life.
You just dropped like 1,000 amazing gems there, like all in one brief moment. That is so much gold. Thank you. That is so beautiful. Yeah, I love that. Time without love is a prison. Love without time is a tragedy. Love without, man, I'm going to remember that. Sheepers. I need to like settle that
Yeah,
for
it's
a moment.
big. Sorry, I've been thinking about it. I'm definitely an Aquarius, like, higher level. I've been thinking about that for at least a decade or two. So
Wow.
It's been a while.
Yeah, man. I'm Aquarius as well, actually. That's cool.
Nice.
Apparently it's our age.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's our time.
Yeah, it's our time to shine.
Is it
Wow.
our time of like technology and enlightenment and wisdom, or a time of robots and the Terminator? So we'll see what happens.
Right. We're definitely dancing on a knife's edge at this point. Like it could go either way.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I mean, the really only other thing I want to ask you in this moment is how people can find you, actually. And if there's any specific projects, I know you mentioned your membership, but if there's anything that you'd love to share with people who are listening.
They can go to drbradleycampbell.com, drbradleycampbell.com. That's the Instagram I have too, is at Dr. Bradley Campbell, Dr. Bradley Campbell. So those are the places I'm the most active. I'm starting to do a little more Dr. Bradley Campbell YouTube channel stuff as well. But yeah, follow me on Instagram, check out what I'm doing. If it resonates, reach out. It'd be great.
Yeah, beautiful, man. Oh, yes. And then the final question, which I ask every guest. When you hear we are already free, what comes up for you?
To me, what comes up with we are already free is a mindset that most people have, that they are not free, that they're debt slaves, that they're slaves to their health condition, they're slaves to their attachment style. What we talked about earlier with Gabamonte, they're slaves to their trauma, they're slaves to their physical living condition, they're slaves to where they live or how they were born or raised, or they're slaves to their IQ level or their degrees that they do or don't have. And I think at some point you got to just realize that's all a bullshit lie you're telling yourself. And like your story is what is either going to make you the hero of your own journey or the slave of what's keeping you a slave. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, I think to be free, you just change your narrative and you say, I'm no longer going to be that person, that story. And I'm going to now be the hero of my own journey and break free from these shackles, like every heroic journey that Joseph Campbell talks about does. Break free from the shackles of your own mind and just be who you want to be.
This is exactly it. That idea of the narrative shift. One of the things I do for my one-to-one clients is that I write them a song towards the end of our work together. And it's specifically because of exactly what you've just talked about, because there's so few of us who get the opportunity to be sung for, to be honored for all our parts. And because I'm working so closely with people, I hear all their stories, their challenges, their demons, their light, their joys, their triumphs, and then taking all of that, basically moving that into a narrative piece that's like when that other voice comes in of going, oh, you're a piece of shit, you're a failure, you should give up. Just be like, just press play and listen to your song, because it's a true song. And it really, because Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey, we are such narrative-based animals that really our mythology we have inside of our heads will dictate everything in our lives. No matter how good or bad the external is, the hero's journey, the internal story is the one that dictates the external the perception of what's happening externally, and therefore how we experience it. So yeah, I love what you just said. It just gets me excited. I actually just finished a custom song for someone like a few days ago, so I'm like all hyped up on it. So thank you for that reminder.
Nice.
The story matters.
That's so cool. You're writing songs for your clients. That's like the coolest thing I've ever heard. That's great.
Thanks. Yeah. What's your background in music? You said, I think saxophone, you said. That's awesome.
Yeah. I majored in pre-med and saxophone performance, and then thought I was going to go be a professor of saxophone. And at the last minute, I was like, I don't even like teaching it. I liked playing it, but not teaching people. I thought it was boring. So I was like, I'm just going to like play music, help injured musicians, and then kind of life took me to where I am now.
Wow, man, that's so cool. Yeah. Thank you I'm glad it resonates, the songwriting, because it's something it's relatively new, and a lot of people don't understand the value actually. And it's not like a blame thing. I think I just need to learn how to communicate it better, because it's like, if someone's already going like, well, I'm going to pay, why should I pay extra to do this top tier work with you? And like the extra thing I'm getting is a song. It's like, I need other things. I need a change in career. I need a relationship. Why do I need a song? But actually, I think you get it. And there's something else there, that the song it's not just a song. It's a way to completely reconstruct your narrative about yourself. And that's the impact that I see it having with people. Anyway, so it's cool to see your excitement when I mentioned that.
I would almost not even tell people. I just surprise them with it. And they'd be like, oh my God, this is great. And just like be like, there's secrets you get, the top tier that like, I'm not going to tell you about.
That's a great idea. Well, now anyone who listens to this episode will be like, I know what he's talking about here.
I know it's coming. But then you'll be like, I'm getting the top tier. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I love that idea. That's so right. I want to just thank you again for your time, Dr. Campbell. It's been really a pleasure to be following you for quite some time now. And I don't remember how I started, but I just remember seeing a video where I was like, this dude's speaking from the heart. And that's something I really appreciate. So I will certainly keep sharing the work that you do, and very excited to share this episode. And yeah, thank you for bringing it out there, man. I really appreciate you.
Thanks, Nathan. Likewise.
Thank you for tuning in to this enlightening episode with Dr. Bradley Campbell. And thanks again, Dr. Campbell, for joining us. Really, what a pleasure. I love what you share so much. I hope you, dear listener, found our deep dive into the transformative, holistic power of self-love as inspiring and eye-opening as I have. Find links to Dr. Campbell in the show notes now. Today, we explored Dr. Campbell's incredible journey from his life-changing experience with holistic medicine to his profound insights on the root causes of health problems. We learned why self-love is not just a buzzword, but a fundamental aspect of true healing and vibrant health. Remember, embracing self-love and authenticity is the ultimate medicine for your mind, body, and spirit. You came here to be you. That's why you're here. And if you aren't being that, that's going to create some downstream and symptoms for you. By nurturing those beautiful, authentic parts of yourself, we can navigate through the overwhelming sea of medical misinformation and find your true path to holistic wellness. If Dr. Campbell's insights have resonated with you and you feel motivated to take the next step in your personal journey, I want to reintroduce you to the Already Free Academy. The AFA is a natural extension of the themes we've discussed today, offering a supportive community and resources to help you deepen your self-love and your holistic wellness practices. Priyanka, a member of the Already Free Academy, has shared with me that she was feeling really isolated, like the people around her couldn't accept her differences. She really felt like that misfit at the university she was at. However, the community at the Academy has provided the connection she's been longing for. Participating in the morning practice and engaging with the community has helped her significantly. Priyanka can now freely express herself, appreciates her unique qualities, and has developed a softer heart. She recommends the Academy for anyone seeking self-discovery and a supportive community. The AFA provides the tools and support to nurture your mind, body, and spirit, helping you cut through the noise and find true wellness. But please act fast. The early bird offer is closing soon, and when it reopens again, it will be a higher price than it is now. Visit alreadyfree.me/earlybird or check the show notes to sign up and claim this exclusive offer before it is gone for good. I appreciate your time and attention. I hope this episode has provided you with valuable insights and inspiration for your personal journey and your authentic self-expression. As I mentioned in the beginning, I am going on honeymoon, so I won't be sharing the podcast for the month of July. Thank you for being with me on this journey. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. We've actually launched an incredible part of the AFA, which is free to join, where if you join using alreadyfree.me/podgang, PODGANG, you will get access to a free part of the community where you can see the show notes, you can comment on each episode, and you can chat with the other members of the community. This is really where I'm prioritizing most of my time now, is supporting and connecting with the members of the AFA. It's just such a good place to hang out. So if you do feel to connect in there, please do. But otherwise, just thank you for being on the journey. I can't wait to take time off with my beautiful wife. We got married in February. Realized that we haven't taken a holiday together in 3+ years. Like, we just haven't gone away and chilled. For those of you who are already in the AFA, the good news is I will still be facilitating the weekly transformation gatherings where you can engage, energize, and envision your life. And it's a really, obviously, beautiful space to connect, beautiful space to get accountability, to overcome your blocks, to practice some of the beautiful breathwork practices, etc. So don't worry, we're still going ahead with that. For everyone else, I wish you so well. Thank you for listening to We Are Already Free. It's just such a pleasure to share this podcast with you. And we will be back with more. I've got amazing guests lined up and beautiful things to share with you. So thank you for being here. Stay rad, keep it cool, and I hope to see you in AFA. Otherwise, I'll see you back here on the podcast in about a month's time. Blessings on your journey. And as always, please remember, we are already free.